Put down the hammer, and pick up the pencil. You're about to listen to the Savvy Radio Show, yeah. Real estate info galore, so listen up, don't miss it. Hosted by the Savvy Landlord, oh.
Yeah, what's going on, Savvy investors? We are on. Put your hands together. It's just me in the studio, but I still will clap my hands. Because we've reached, you stuck with me, 300 episodes. Wow. There's a party just for that. Anyway, 300. We got great things coming. My wife and I are about to break it off this week. We're going to get in the studio together and hopefully bring some insight into some wives and some relationships and some marriages. And so that's going to be coming on pretty soon. Anyway, 300 episode. Wow. Well, why not top off the best 300 episode with questions to ask before you make an offer? And from this episode, you should probably make a checklist. And if you don't know how to make a checklist, or you need to figure it out, Google it up, how to make a checklist. But if you want to learn more about why checklists are important, check out this last episode, 299, I just did. That will help you. So you got to make an offer. You can't be successful if you don't make offers. People wonder, wow, how do you get you put offers in? Here's a rule of thumb. You got to put in at least 10 to 12 legitimate offers. Poor realtors out there, if you're doing MLS, 10 to 12 offers, and you can probably pop a deal. But before you put in an offer, you should probably consider these few questions. Hopefully, this will just flip you upside down, remind you of the basics, and add some aha moments. All right, pretty simple. Not all these questions are groundbreaking, life-changing, but they are questions that you should consider when putting in your offer. Pretty obvious. Is this a good location? Number one, yes. Is it a good location? Crime, tenant base, ownership. Yes, you need to think about that. When you're driving through that neighborhood, you could do it through Google Maps, and that's usually what I do quickly before I even get in a vehicle, is this a high crime? Google that up. Is it a tenant base neighborhood, or is there owners in there? Where is this neighborhood heading? Up or down? Nowhere, sideways, or stagnant? So I know that's pretty simple. Is this a good location? Well, it has to be. But even there's pockets, especially in Oklahoma, man. There's 1 minute it would be like the Taj Mahal, baller, 4,000 square foot cribs. Seriously, the street over, 700 square foot shacks. Don't get it? Only in Oklahoma, right? Is it close to your operations? I know this is such a, why is that even a question? Well, that affects me in my purchasing. Well, you got to think close, think big, and it's not only for today. Now, when I started out, man, I would buy anything, anywhere, even if it was 30, 40, 50 minutes away. Now, anything more than that, I was a little shaky, nervous, but now I really jump on properties that are near my office. One reason is for maintenance issues. And just the other day, I had an issue with a sewer line, and the tenant was getting a little juicy on us, right? And so the property manager, she's a wonderful person, and I know that she can handle that situation. But then something came up like, I'm going to call a lawyer. Oh, my goodness. Now, when someone just mentions those words to us in our operation, things automatically go into mode, into motion. And so I just felt, after talking to the property manager, hey, let me just jump over there, get face-to-face with this individual. And I haven't done it in a while. I had my homie with me. So I was like, hey, I'm going to go check it out. And it worked out well. We negotiated a deal to make that tenant happy. That was a win-win for all. But how close is it to your operations? I have a unit that's 17 hours away. It's a little frustrating to the degree of just extra trash. So I have to trust a realtor on that one. But you need to think about that when you're purchasing property, especially in the beginning or even later. Now I want to grow my business, so I'm not really concerned about that. I can trust people, boots on the ground. People call me from all over the country. assisting them in some form or fashion, and I expect the same, especially if I'm trying to purchase somewhere else. So, but in the beginning, where is this? Is this going to be a hassle for you to drive to Shawnee on a $12,000 rental trying to collect $75 in profit? Ask yourself, is it close to your operation? Here's another one. Are you comfortable collecting the rent? Yep, I know that's on this little questionnaire here. Are you comfortable collecting the rent? Mm-hmm. You know, one of our greatest properties that we call a legacy property in my world, it was in the hood, and it was in a real bad area. I'm talking about crack houses. And it was emotional. It was a very big purchase. It was an apartment building, and there was a lot of things I didn't know I was doing. I sent my wife, that's right, Big Shinizzle, drove to this area at night, and I just didn't want to be emotional. I said to her, lock your car, drive through this neighborhood at night, and I want you to tell me what your vibe is, what your feeling is. Now, of course, I would never have my wife go collect rent. And of course, if you're a savvy landlord, you should not go collect rent ever. But are you comfortable? And that's just a question you have to ask yourself. And it was a big purchase. She gave me the green light, and so glad we did. It's just interesting. It hinged on a large property based on my wife driving through that neighborhood feeling good. Now, that neighborhood back then was this is 2011, 6 years later. What a quick time. 6 years ago, the square footage in that neighborhood were in the tune of $20,000 to $30,000 a square foot. Isn't that crazy? You can't even build for that. Today, that's right, April 2017, that square footage in that neighborhood is going for $147 a square. Wow. Thank you to all my homie flippers in that neighborhood, Nathan Cow, the Henderson. Thank you very much for crushing it in that area. You have increased my property from your hard work. Here's another one. How are the other properties kept up? Are people parking on the grass? Is it the hood, or is it good? Drive by at night. That's right. How are they? I always look for the grass. Where do they keep their trash can? Is the roofs are maintained? Is the property not just now the property that I'm buying? It could be an egg. It could stink. That's the ones I want. But in the neighborhood, if there's a lot of stinky properties, we got a problem. So, are people parking on the grass? Man, if you got one headache person on that street, it could be difficult. So you need to drive by it at night, drive by it during the day. This is an asset. You need to do your due diligence. Don't be lazy. Get it done. Now, here's a question that I thought years ago a lot. I don't know where this is at, in a book somewhere probably. Someone's talked about this. None of this stuff is brand new society, but would you live there? That's another question. Now, this is tough. My mindset has changed. But back in the day when I started, there was homes that I purchased that were better than the home that I lived in. It's okay. You can be humble. But you need to ask yourself, would you live there at worst case scenario? If the bomb went off, the IRS came with the handcuffs, and you lost it all, could you live in that one unit? That actually happened to me. Not all that other jazz, IRS, and drama, but there was a time where things didn't go well in my life personally, and I had to move into a rental. And when I purchased that property, it was not like, hey, it was right across the street from an apartment building. I was kind of forced to live in there. I had no other place to live. It was a struggle in my life. Man, would you live there now? Nope, I wouldn't. Now, would I necessarily buy it? I probably would buy it now for a deal, right? So maybe this would make your mindset change. Maybe you should offer a little bit less than you normally would. So here's another question. Future thinking. Is this a strong job growth locally in this area? Local job growth. Who is the largest employer in that area, in that place? Just think about Oklahoma City. What was our largest employer for a while there? Oil, right? there was oil jobs everywhere. People were making ungodly amount of money, $150,000 to look up some property information to be a landman. Wow. Now that doesn't happen anymore. Now, did Oklahoma City collapse? No, I think we've gotten bruised, but we're still rolling. But who is the largest employer? Where are people making money? How are they making? Is this a tech area? Is this like Dallas? Are there jobs? Are they remotely? Where do people work? Do they commute? Here's an interesting thing that, when I was just really getting rolling in real estate, and I have some friends in California. Now, if you study the market in California, it's just unbelievable. I don't even know. Are there investors there? Because I'm like, I can't, I don't know. My mind is wrap around it. But like in the Bay Area near Northern California, San Francisco, you have Berkeley, Emeryville, Oakland. You got these areas that are just outrageous. I grew up in this place called El Sobrante, San Pablo. Okay, it's a small suburb of Richmond, again, Oakland, the East Bay. And property there is I'm talking about a 700 square foot shack, no joke, $1 million. Like, how in the world? Now, I noticed being educated through real estate, people have owned homes that were passed down. There, of course, there are deals everywhere, but not what they think you are. Well, where is this going? Well, here you go. Do they commute? Well, there was a very extremely hot area called Hercules. Now, Hercules was by a very kind of a wealthy area called Concord, Walnut Creek area. Well, real estate was so hot, $2 million for a 1,000 square foot place in Oakland, in Berkeley, is just outrageous. I'm serious. Like, those are real numbers. I'm not making this up. Well, it was expanding, and people were driving. Do they commute 30, 40 an hour away to this place called Pittsburgh, California? And I said Hercules. I was confused there, but it's Pittsburgh. Well, a friend of mine bought property there, smoke and deal, even in a foreclosure, and he bought a property for $450,000. Now, $450,000 sounds like a deal. To me, that sounds highway robbery. But $450,000 for a 1,200 square foot place in Pittsburgh, California. And so things were popping up, but then the market crashed even harder. That was a deal, and houses there went for $150,000 now. Now it's probably rebounding, but it's going to take 20 to 30 years, I predict, for that little area to rebound. Crazy. So, where's these people working? There is no jobs way out there. A lot of people commuted 40 minutes to an hour from that place. Another question you should ask: crime rate on your street, in your area specifically. In Oklahoma City, it's pretty easy. There's a website dedicated to that. It's a news station called News 9, OKC News 9. And they have dedicated real-time information right there for you. And you could see what your neighborhood, see if it's in the hood, and make a sound decision. All right, here's another one. Schools. What school? You got to ask this question. Like, I would pay $10,000 more if it's in a better school district. People go crazy over schools. I personally have moved my family 3 miles and way more amount of money than I would ever anticipate for the same exact house, but it was in a school district. What school district is that property in? Also, when you're doing school districts, find out what the rating is. Some people talk about school districts, but find out what the rating is. And when you get this data, you're not wasting time. When you purchase this property, you can put this information in your description for a prospective tenant. So it's not wasted time. All right. I know this is long-winded. We got a couple more here. Is this in a redevelopment area? What do you mean? Is this an area where there's tons of distressed property? Well, in Oklahoma City, they passed this thing called MAPS. And in the beginning, it was Classen. It was kind of the first Asian district. Then it moved down to Paseo. Then from the Paseo, it moved to the Plaza. Then the 23rd Street. Then 10 Penn. And then drum roll, today, it's in the Linwood area. Yo, boy, cat out of the bag. Yep, Linwood area is so hot. But how do you know this? My mentor was 10 to 5 years ahead of all these areas. I remember specifically I bought a property in the plaza, and he's like, bro, Steven, they're putting $2 million in front of that property. I did not know that. I thought he was some mystical wizard. Well, it's because it's in the planning area. It's in the maps. It's a project. You need to get to know your area. Is this in a redevelopment area? Where is it going? Upswing, downswing? And let me give you a side note. Everything always sounds positive. When you read stuff, oh, we're redevelopment. Things are great. Life is good. Raise your taxes. And la-ti-da-di-da. Well, for years, and I've been investing on this side of town, not speculatively. I've been investing on the east side of town. And the reason is because they're affordable and cheaper homes. But that's one reason. That's the only way I could have got into the game. But people think, someone asked me the other day about the east side, and they're in this area, and they think it's going to go up because all this radio and TV publicity from the government saying that the east side, and they've approved all this stuff. They have been saying this for 10 or 15 years. That's how long I've been on this side of town. But if we talked earlier over in the Lincoln Terrace area, it only took 6 years to transform that area. It took less than 10 years to transform the Paseo. It took like 5 years to transform the Plaza. It only took a few years to transform the 23rd. And 10 Penn is slow, and right now Linwood is rolling. Now, I just been investing for almost 20 years. It's the only reason why. This is just my perspective in general. But I guarantee if you did some due diligence and some research and talked to some successful real estate investors, they kind of know what's going on. And you can figure this out by attending planning meetings or hearing about it. All right. So another question you should ask yourself, is this or will this be your farm area? A friend was passionate of mine back in the day in Bethany. And Bethany is not my area. He lived in that area, and it seemed high to me, but it was no big deal for him. He would pop deals. Everything was great. It's the same with Moore. People talk about Moore, Oklahoma. It's a hot area, but it's just, is this an area you're going to farm in? And so ask yourself this. If you're going to spend this energy and time going over there dealing with this property, is it going to be worth your time? All right. I know this is really long. Hopefully this is good information. If this is good information to you and you made it 17 minutes and some change, then let your boy know, because I got a whole bunch of other podcasts that are similar to this. I just didn't know if these are the questions that you needed answered. So here's another one. Is there a homeowners association? Now, you think of that as HOA in your apartment building or your condo. I'm talking about in your little area. There's an association for Forest Park. These guys get together and meet once a quarter, once a month. I'm not really sure. But there's one in Oakdale. There's one in Paseo. There's a very active club or homeowners association in Putnam Heights. They're a great place to get connected. So if you really want to move to a specific area, find out when there's a town meeting, or find out when they're meeting, or if it has historical area. Also, you need to think about income level throughout the area. Money, I believe the money is in the middle class or the low demographics, but where's the income level of the property that you're buying? Are the majority of the people both home income earners, or they stay at home moms involved? Is there like a mini hustle daycare on the side? You need to find out this information before you make a purchase. And the final question, is it in the flood zone? I may have talked about this before. You can go to FEMA. Our county assessor does let you know that it's in a flood zone, because a flood zone can backfire and blow up in your face. One is that you have to have double insurance. Anyway, this is Steve Van Kallenberg. Hopefully this wasn't too much of information, overwhelming. If you're working out, I probably foiled it for you, but that's okay. If you like this and you want me more information like this and to grow your business, send me a message, Facebook, text message, email. Go to thesavvyradioshow.com, click on leave a voicemail, give me some feedback, let me know so I can keep this train running.
Thanks for listening to The Savvy Radio Show. Glide online and listen to our other motivating episodes at SavvyRadioShow.com. Connect on Twitter at LandlordBook and always be buying assets.